Why did it take Odysseus 10 long years to return home after the Trojan War? This question has intrigued generations, making his journey one of the most famous and mysterious stories in Greek mythology. While other Greek heroes quickly returned home after the fall of Troy, Odysseus's path was far more complex. Despite being a brilliant strategist, credited with the idea of the Trojan horse that won the war, his return to Ithaca became an epic struggle against forces beyond his control. So, what kept this legendary hero from his homeland? His journey was filled with trials from vengeful gods like Poseidon, who sought to punish him for blinding his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus. Odysseus also encountered powerful monsters, such as Scylla and Charybdis, and faced seductive temptations from figures like Circe and the Sirens. Each obstacle seemed designed to test his intelligence, loyalty, and perseverance. But was his extended voyage merely a string of bad luck? Or was it a punishment from the gods for his hubris, or perhaps even fate itself, drawing out his journey for a deeper reason? As we delve into the true legend of Odysseus, we will uncover the hidden forces behind his long, treacherous voyage, revealing untold truths about a hero who defied the gods, overcame insurmountable odds, and ultimately reclaimed his home and family. This is the story of perseverance against all odds, an epic struggle for survival and redemption. The story of Odysseus truly begins where another legend, the Trojan War, ends. After 10 grueling years of battle, the Greeks finally claimed victory, thanks in large part to Odysseus's brilliant strategy, the Trojan horse. This cunning plan led to the fall of Troy, sealing Odysseus' reputation as a master tactician. But while the other Greek warriors sailed home to celebrate their triumph, Odysseus's journey was far from over. In fact, his greatest trials were just beginning. As he set sail for Ithaca, Odysseus found himself entangled in a web of divine forces and mythical creatures. The gods, far from celebrating his victory, were angry. Odysseus's actions during the war, particularly his pride and defiance, angered Poseidon, god of the sea. The wrath of Poseidon turned the seas against him, transforming Odysseus's journey home into a treacherous Odyssey filled with unimaginable danger. Over the course of the next 10 years, Odysseus faced trials that tested every aspect of his character, his strength, intelligence, loyalty, and perseverance. From battling the monstrous Cyclops to resisting the seductive songs of the Sirens, every step of his voyage pushed him closer to the brink of despair. Yet, through it all, Odysseus remained determined to return home, to reclaim his throne, and to reunite with his family. His Odyssey became not just a physical journey, but a profound test of willpower and resilience against the forces of fate and divine wrath. Odysseus quickly realized that his journey back to Ithaca would be anything but straightforward. What he initially thought would be a triumphant return turned into a perilous Odyssey filled with monstrous creatures and the unpredictable wrath of the gods. One of the most harrowing encounters occurred when he and his crew landed on the island of the Cyclops, Polyphemus. Trapped inside the giant's cave, with no clear way of escape, Odysseus had to rely on his cunning over brute strength. He devised a clever plan, tricking the one-eyed monster by introducing himself as Nobody. After blinding the Cyclops with a sharpened stake, Odysseus and his men slipped away, clinging to the undersides of Polyphemus' sheep as they left the cave unnoticed. Though they managed to escape, Polyphemus, who was revealed to be the son of Poseidon, cursed Odysseus as they sailed away. In his agony, Polyphemus called out to his father, praying that Odysseus would never return home. This fateful curse ensured that Poseidon, god of the sea, would relentlessly pursue and torment Odysseus throughout his journey, turning the ocean into an enemy. Little did Odysseus know that this was only the beginning of his trials, as he would soon face other mythical creatures and challenges, each one more dangerous than the last, while navigating the will and whims of the gods. His journey was now not just a fight for survival, but a test of his wits, endurance, and determination to reach home. Odysseus's next great trial came in the form of the enchantress Circe, whose island was a deceptive paradise. After Odysseus and his men landed, they were lured into her palace, where Circe used her magic to transform his men into swine. Faced with this terrifying situation, Odysseus knew he had to act quickly to save his crew. Armed with a potent charm given to him by the messenger god Hermes, Odysseus bravely confronted Circe. His courage and wit broke the spell that had enslaved his men, restoring them to their human forms. But Circe was not simply an evil sorceress. She was complex, offering Odysseus something he hadn't known in years: rest, comfort, and the seductive allure of an easier life. For a full year, Odysseus and his men remained on Circe's island, indulging in the luxuries of her hospitality and temporarily forgetting about their arduous quest to return home. This period of temptation and indulgence revealed a new kind of danger. Odysseus, who had faced monsters, storms, and gods, now faced a quieter but equally dangerous threat: the loss of his purpose. It was a key turning point in his journey, as he realized that the comforts of luxury could be just as perilous as any enemy. The call of home, his wife Penelope, and his son Telemachus eventually became too strong to ignore. Odysseus, filled with renewed resolve, knew he had to leave this island of temptation, no matter the cost, to continue his journey home. As Odysseus continued his journey home, the dangers he faced became more treacherous with each passing mile. One of the most iconic and perilous challenges came when he encountered the Sirens, mythical creatures whose beautiful, hypnotic song lured sailors to their deaths by crashing their ships into the rocky shores. Knowing the deadly power of their song, Odysseus demonstrated his wisdom and foresight by ordering his men to block their ears with beeswax, ensuring they couldn't hear the sirens' calls. But Odysseus, always curious, wanted to experience the song himself without succumbing to it. He had his crew tie him tightly to the mast, instructing them not to release him no matter how much he begged. As the ship sailed past the sirens, their enchanting voices almost drove Odysseus mad with desire. But his clever plan worked. His crew, deaf to the song, sailed safely past the danger, and Odysseus survived the ordeal. No sooner had they escaped the sirens than they faced a new, deadly challenge: navigating the narrow strait between Scylla and Charybdis, two monstrous sea creatures. Scylla, a six-headed beast, snatched sailors from ships, while Charybdis, a whirlpool, threatened to swallow the entire ship. Forced to choose between two horrors, Odysseus made the heart-wrenching decision to steer closer to Scylla, sacrificing 6 of his men to save the rest of the crew. This grim choice weighed heavily on him, a reminder that even in victory, loss was unavoidable. Despite all of Odysseus's warnings and efforts to keep his men safe, they made a fatal and irreversible mistake. They slaughtered the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios after being strictly warned not to touch them. This single act of defiance against divine law sealed their fate. Helios, enraged by the violation, demanded justice from Zeus, threatening to plunge the world into darkness if he was not avenged. Zeus responded with swift and unforgiving retribution, summoning a violent storm that ravaged the seas. The storm destroyed Odysseus's ship, wiping out all of his remaining crew in a final act of divine punishment. Odysseus, despite his cunning and survival skills, could not prevent the disaster. In this catastrophic moment, all his strength and wisdom were no match for the fury of the gods. Odysseus was left utterly alone, drifting at sea amidst the wreckage of his hopes and dreams. The gods had spared only him, but his journey was far from over. He was eventually swept onto the shores of Ogygia, where the nymph Calypso found him. For several years, she held him captive, offering him immortality if he stayed with her. In this darkest period of his Odyssey, Odysseus's fate seemed sealed, trapped far from home, separated from his family, and faced with the ultimate temptation. Would he ever see Ithaca again, or was he destined to live out his days in eternal captivity, lost forever in the clutches of the gods? For 7 long years, Odysseus was trapped on the idyllic yet isolating island of Ogygia, held captive by the nymph Calypso. Despite her offering him the ultimate temptation, immortality and eternal youth, if he would stay with her, Odysseus's heart remained steadfastly loyal to his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus, waiting for him in Ithaca. The allure of an endless life with a beautiful goddess was powerful, but Odysseus was driven by something stronger: his deep-rooted love for his family and his unwavering sense of duty to return home. As the years passed, Odysseus despaired, his hopes of ever seeing Ithaca again dimming. However, the gods had not forgotten him. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and his constant protector, intervened on his behalf. She petitioned Zeus, the king of the gods, to order Calypso to release Odysseus. Reluctantly, Calypso complied, allowing Odysseus to finally leave her island. Though the journey ahead remained fraught with dangers, and the years had taken their toll on his body and spirit, Odysseus's will was unbroken. As he set sail once more, the longing for home propelled him forward. But Odysseus knew that his greatest challenge was yet to come. The final test would not be from mythical creatures or wrathful gods, but from those who had sought to steal his kingdom and betray his trust in his absence. After years of unimaginable hardship, wandering the seas and facing gods, monsters, and temptations, Odysseus finally returned to his homeland of Ithaca. But his trials were far from over. Disguised as a beggar, he secretly made his way into the city, only to find his palace overrun with suitors, arrogant men who believed Odysseus was dead and were now competing for the hand of his wife, Penelope. These suitors had feasted on his wealth, disrespected his home, and dishonored his family. Though his heart burned with anger, Odysseus knew he could not reclaim his kingdom by force alone. With the help of his loyal son, Telemachus, and a few trusted servants, he devised a cunning plan to rid his house of these intruders. In one final test, Penelope, who had remained faithful to her absent husband, declared she would marry the man who could string Odysseus's legendary bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads, an impossible feat for anyone but the true king. As each suitor failed, the disguised Odysseus took his turn, easily stringing the bow and sending the arrow through the axes. At that moment, he revealed his identity, and with Telemachus by his side, he defeated the suitors, restoring order and justice to his home. The long journey had finally ended, but the lessons of perseverance, intelligence, and loyalty endured. Odysseus' story reminds us that no matter how insurmountable the odds, true heroes remain steadfast in their quest, and victory comes not just through strength, but through patience and wisdom.